Here you go.
Okay, we're good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I hope you're all doing really, really well. I want to thank you for your valuable presence and your time and your wonderful contributions. It makes everything worthwhile. Uh, so, Today we would wish to talk about vibration, sound, geometry, how this is used so powerfully in healing, in manifestation, in all sorts of physical and non-physical areas. So I hope you find this episode to be beneficial to you. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, everyone. Shall we start off with the frequency?
Yes, yes,
And
yes,
I
yes.
can play my rattle as well.
Of
Here you go.
course, absolutely.
Yeah. So set intentions.
Okay, wonderful. So, sound, vibration, movement, and how geometry comes into play and how it has powerful effects in creation, transmutation, evolution. Um, well, I think this is going to be interesting.
Hmm.
So,
Very
would you like to start or should I start?
well. I'll start. I think
Okay.
most music is set at frequency of 440, and it was changed in the is it 1930s? I haven't checked this, but I think it was the 30s, and it's all connected. Oh, by the way, before we start, this is for entertainment purposes only. This is our opinion. It's not factual. Well, it might be. It's your own opinion. Get that out of the way. And I think it's connected to the Rothschilds, where uh, there's a feeling that people should be workers and not thinkers, and this 432 hertz was quite important. What's really strange is 432 is none of the chakras, but I believe it is the link to the earth energies. Is that correct? Yeah.
There are correspondences at certain vibrations or certain, let's say, frequency points. Uh, there's a correlation with energy centers in the body. Of course, there's the natural rhythms of the earth, the Schumann resonance. Every structure has its resonant frequency. So this can be used towards clearing these energy centers, namely the solfeggio frequencies.
Hmm.
Many may not be familiar, many will be. And so, amongst those who have heard of them, there might be those that think that no, they're not too good. In my humble opinion, they are effective. So, you can easily find 9 hour long recordings of these vibrations, very gentle, on YouTube, in fact. And so, at a certain point, I was using these. So, setting them on before I went to bed, and in certain instances, I would wake up with this powerful sense of almost discomfort, let's say in the solar plexus. And
Hmm.
that was at a time where uh, I was low on self esteem or energy. So that was being cleansed out through the sound, through the
Yeah,
night.
that's the 528, isn't it?
Hmm.
In my opinion, that's probably the most important one out of all of them because
For
it
energy, yeah,
repairs
yeah, yeah.
DNA, doesn't it? It's a repair of DNA.
So
Yeah,
right here, and it's also associated with the digestive system. So
yeah.
absorbing energy through food. So that would be the physical side of it. but your self-esteem, your endurance, the ability to push through and finish things that you start. So this is a really important one. Honestly, I benefited from these vibrations, the sound,
Yeah.
and so there's something to this, most certainly.
Mm.
There's
I
yeah, please.
I think the 532 is it? I think that we our frequency is exactly similar to the Earth's frequency. So I have a feeling the 532 and us and the Earth are all interconnected. And that's why when we go for walks in parks, should take our shoes off because to connect, it's all to do with the connection. But it's surprising how that frequency is not any of the chakra frequencies. It's quite surprising.
Very
Mm,
interesting. Well, in my understanding, the chakras are not native to the divine blueprint. The human being is a continuous
mm,
creation, and so we're able to embody and emanate all vibrations.
mm,
Seems these artificial wheels are like USB ports
mm.
to allow harvesting of energy without killing us.
Have you ever seen the geometric shapes of the frequency in water from 440 to 440 looks dead, doesn't it? Doesn't really look anything. And 432 looks really, really good. Now, people that might not realize when you play frequency from the radio, or it's always set at 440, but you can get an app and change that frequency to 432 or 528. You can actually change the frequency of every song to the frequency that is best to suit your means. And if you want to connect to the spirit, to the highest vibrations, then obviously 963, isn't it? And I think you can actually reprogram on a certain app on the internet the frequency that you need from the song that you enjoy.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Mm,
Now, the use of sound, more specifically ultrasound, is a widespread thing, even in our mainstream medical approach, this quote unquote scientific approach, which is valid because it works, because it's supported by repeatable, observable examination and experimentation, both for diagnostic purposes and
mm,
also for healing purposes. So if someone has the misfortune of building stones in the kidneys or in the gallbladder or liver, internal organs, it's a genetic condition. Some people have it. They can break the stones with ultrasound.
yeah. Well, they can actually also destroy the big C. I think is it 200,000 hertz?
I'm
Uh,
not quite sure about
they've
that now.
actually had lab experiments at the moment, and a very high frequency destroys the stuff that we can't say on here, if you get what I mean.
Hmm.
Uh,
Absolutely. So there's a healing property to sound, without a doubt.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
There are lots of videos where a regular singing bowl is just floating on the surface of the water, and as they hit it, you can see these incredible patterns, this geometry
Mm,
unfolding. And so um, this will have a positive effect on the body at the right frequency. Now, interestingly, this was used in older civilizations with the use of megalithic structures, so enormous stones, some of them, because of their density and the composition of the stone, when you hit it, it begins to vibrate and give audible and subaudible tones. And then this vibration could be sustained with the use of running water.
mm,
So this is Atlantean and Egyptian, where they had resonant chambers. They would hit these massive megalithic pillars with rocks, get the sound going, and then they could tune the frequency by adding certain weights along certain points.
mm,
This exact principle is used in um, electromagnetics, so using resonant frequencies and the knowledge of how you can have tuning elements at certain points. This was known. So sound healing is very ancient. It's not the first time we're coming across this. We're just remembering principles and laws in nature that have a beneficial effect.
Yeah, it's like the bells, isn't it? A lot of the bells, they're for healing, and it's strange how the 1900s to 1930s they destroyed tens of thousands of them. I've got my own theory with that. I believe it can do healing as such, but I also believe that beings that shouldn't be here, that are camouflage, can be seen with frequency. Yeah, so I do believe it's a lot of people, a lot of beings got rid of them bells because they were doing more than just the healing, the frequency and calling. Yeah.
So disruption of, let's say, camouflage fields. This would, there may be many approaches to create a field that would camouflage your true appearance. Those that I'm aware of, it's energetic, it's non-physical. So it's used in certain forms of meditation. Zen masters can change their vibration consciously. So the eyes of the person seeing them would register. It goes back through the optic nerve to the visual cortex. That does its job, and then it's sent to the conscious center of the brain, prefrontal and frontal cortex, but the conscious mind does not register. And so they walk right by you. This is a very real thing. So the ninja would use this in combat. So in addition to mastery of Zen, they would then wear dark clothing in the night, camouflage and everything, and so they were onto something pretty effective. And so that would have made it into legend as invisibility. There's very real things behind these. And now going back to the bells, yeah, these seem to be very effective in terms of amplifiers or carriers of intention. With all of my clients, I use sound instruments. We use the singing bowl at the beginning with the intention of cleansing and healing, and I've gotten a number of messages from our wonderful audience confirming, oh yeah, this sound stuff, it's powerful. Or the frequencies that you created, again, in terms of unmasking and revealing beings that are not beneficial. Very, very effective.
Initially, it started with the frequency video, the first one. I had 4 frequencies and I played one, then I played the other, and I played the other because I was protecting my machine. One of my machines was being targeted. It ended up costing me thousands. Then I think, yeah, we joined all 4, and then we added 101, 101, so someone was doing 101, 101, 101. Added that to it. Then we added light language, so we added that to it. We then added, what did we add? Sanskrit mantras, loads of them, added that. Angelic tongue was added to that. What's good is the noise is just one tone, and you don't realise it in the background is all sorts. And the good old bells, we added the bells to it as well. So I think everything was added to that. In the end, it became 400 frequencies, and me and Sophie's latest one's 900. So 900 frequencies, and it's got all these chakra frequencies. So it's pretty good, and it cleared it. It can clear dark stuff. Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned the Sanskrit mantras. The mantras that are in Sanskrit, they seem to correspond with certain geometry.
Yeah.
So when these are spoken using your voice, you're in fact creating certain types of geometry inside the body. A famous, very effective, very powerful mantra is the Gayatri mantra, 24 syllables. each one is creating one form of geometry, going through the body and cleansing it. Om Bhurbuva Swaha, Tat Savitur Varenyam, Bargo Devasya Dimahi, Diyo Yona Prachodayat. 24 syllables in total, starting from the crown, going down to the root. And so, as you can imagine, with the repetition of this wonderful mantra, you're cleansing and healing the body. So the mantras are very, very powerful.
I think when you do mantras, you got to really mean it from your soul, and you got to really dig that energy up from your soul, basically your heart chakra. Yeah, definitely.
Quality over quantity. That is true.
Yeah.
And so the other thing would be repetition. So certain more dense blockages in the energy. It wouldn't be enough to just say something once or twice or 10 times. Those that are more dedicated, they would repeat these words of power or sounds of power thousands of times with the intention. And so that's the Hindu and the Buddhist approach to using these mantras associated with a mala bead. So you go over and over and over every, let's say, 10,000 times. They would put a little notch in the instrument that, okay, and then you see these old mala beads belonging
Is them
to
beads?
monks,
Is that 108 beads, and then you don't have to count. You just move along. It took me a while. It took me a while working that one out, but then I realised, you can't really count as you're saying them, can you? Yeah.
That's so true. It takes you out of the normal zone of consciousness. You go into altered states, elevated states. So you need something to keep count. Otherwise you forget, was I 52 or 55? And then you don't know, do I go to the start or just continue? So it's just an instrument for counting. And then sound can be the birthplace where manifestation begins. So we have the beloved source of all sources, everything everywhere. Then beneath that level we have the divine void, energy of manifestation and all possibility. And then underneath that we have the divine realm of sound. This is superior to light.
Yeah.
And so things taking energy from the void come into motion, and then geometry is formed, vibration starts speeding up, sound turns into light, and then underneath that we have the dimensions all the way down to physicality. So using sound in many instruments, whether it's a rattle or whether it's a bell, once you load this sound with intention, it becomes very, very powerful. So it could be intentions of healing, like what is used in the shamanic approaches. Drums, rattles, these are powerful instruments.
Shall we talk about the rattles? Because I've got a new one.
Yes, please.
I like doing that. Yeah. I just feel it's right. I think there's no wrong way of doing this. It's how you feel to do it. Yeah.
Well, it has an interesting effect on the brain.
Yeah.
So we want to take the person into a relaxed state, the alpha state, underneath, let's say, 12 hertz. And so beats between 4 to 7 hertz, beats per second, take you into the meditative state. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 per second, that is good. And with the drum, it just relaxes the entire conscious mind. You go into a state where then you're open to, let's say, a shamanic journey. So how fast you do it does come in. Too slow isn't good, too fast also isn't good. There's a wonderful recording on YouTube from a master shaman called Michael Harner. So Michael Harner drum. It's recorded. It's just boom, 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 beating on the drum. But it doesn't matter who listens to it. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you're on your journey. So that would be a very, very effective and basically free, danger-free, no side effects to listening to drums. But it relaxes you into a meditative state, and if you want to basically connect to your power animal, or do some soul shard retrieval, or understand the underlying causes for certain problems in a meditative state, this would be incredibly useful.
But what I'd like to talk about now is a very deep thing, very deep. Pyramid building.
Well,
Now,
that's interesting, isn't it?
yeah,
With
when I was in my teens, if I was very angry from my soul, there's a brain angry and there's a soul angry. If I looked at anything that could weigh 30 kilos, it'd move. And I projected this anger into my eyes and it would move. Yeah. Now, that's obviously chi energy. So the ones who built very large buildings, I believe, and you can tell me your take on it, that that soul energy, that chi energy with mouth frequency, I think the mouth frequency must have connected to the rock and connected to the earth and created a vibration between the two, and that's how it starts hovering. But the chi energy was supplying the power to do that. So I think it's a mixture of your chi energy and the frequency of your tone to create an ambience with the rock and the earth. What's your feelings on that? Because
I think that is accurate.
yeah,
So there are harmonics of the same base frequency. So they're multiples of the same number of beats per second.
yeah,
And so these can become constructive,
hmm
and they start amplifying in
hmm
terms of the amplitude of the vibration. So with sound, you can destroy things. The
hmm
same thing is used in, let's say, breaking up kidney stones with sound. They tune it to the natural vibration of that little piece of rock that is formed, and it just cracks.
mm.
Um,
So if you can imagine 100 people as shamanic, all doing it for this one 20-ton brick, I think that'd be a bit to do
yes,
it.
yes, it's
Yeah,
made it
yeah,
into the Abrahamic religions, the walls of Jericho,
mm,
using sound to bring down the walls or erode the foundation so that they easily crumble.
mm,
Now, with the pyramids, um, you would be able to tap into something infinitely more powerful. That's
mm,
the natural vibration of the earth. And so, having a structure that would be um, on the same natural, um, let's say, resonant frequency. You would also have many tuning chambers inside the structure that would basically give you the ability to fine tune and compensate for any variations, local variations, depending on, let's say, the season or the position of the planet in the solar system, or the position of our solar system in the galaxy, and so on. So there was a need for fine tuning. Looking at the pyramids in Egypt, the Great
mm,
Pyramid, these internal structures have an uncanny resemblance to tuning elements.
mm.
So the newer discovery where we've got these spirals underneath the structure of the pyramids, I think
Yes,
everybody
that's
by
just
now
been
has
found
seen.
now.
Wow, 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 wow.
So, what do you think the pyramid is? I've got my own feelings on this, and my feelings are quite strong. But what's yours first?
So the dimensions, they correspond to the size of the planet,
Mm,
and seems the location is right at the center of all landmass.
mm,
This is not accidental. They needed to find a location with sufficiently solid bedrock to take the weight, otherwise it would crumble, the foundation would erode, and so on. So it's not exact, but with the use of these tuning chambers or tuning elements, they were able to compensate. Now, it would be interesting to do some number crunching on the natural resonant frequency of these structures. How it tunes into, let's say, the Schumann resonance.
Yeah.
So like a crystal like this. So this is a Vogel crystal. The angle at the very projection at the top, it corresponds to the pyramids. So it would be an accumulator or an amplifier. And so it would be able to emanate a certain desirable frequency. Now, if this would have use in just, let's say, working on the consciousness of those around, or if it would be then used towards, let's say, powering up certain types of technology. I mean, at this point, it seems it's very sophisticated. So in the off stage, it would look something like this. And then when you give it energy at the right frequency, so I'm just going to use a phone, then it would become something like this. So you see there's an aura kind of at the top and the bottom, the accumulation point right here. So whether it's working with electromagnetics or it's just using some other form of vibration, it is not known yet. But the whole thing, it's really sophisticated.
I think it balances the earth. Without the pyramids, I think we'd have a problem living here. I think it also it's a battery, like you said, a power plant. But could it be also feeding a civilization in underneath us, in Earth?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. See, that's now we're getting closer to what I just showed with the crystal. So it could accumulate energy from the surface and then guide it down and concentrate it. This is going down now 650 meters to another structure that could power an entire subterranean civilization.
And create a sun.
And create, it would be the sun brought down subterranean levels. So yeah. And so we're not aware of what it exactly was fine-tuned to. The beauty is that the structure is still there. Physics and mathematics do not change. So just looking at what type of frequency the structure is designed to be in harmony with, then it will give us an idea what the intended purpose of these would be.
And I wonder who created them. It wasn't us.
Well, I think it was done by the Atlanteans.
Yeah.
It would definitely tie in with the natural gridwork or ley lines of the planet.
Yeah.
They're very plentiful all over Africa, all over Europe, all over Asia, in America. I don't think there's any continent that doesn't have these. So at some point it was a known technology.
The Atlanteans, they got their technology from higher beings. I don't know if you knew. You should know that anyway. They could channel the information in. So yeah, it makes sense that the Atlanteans could do such a creation.
Well, I think it would be some sort of stabilizer or moderator of energy. So having effects on calming down earthquakes.
Yeah, like a damping device.
Like a damping, yeah, that would make sense. Yeah. Now, maybe we go a little extreme and say damping the population, putting a hard limit on how high they could vibrate, the frequency of their consciousness, how far they could go up. Would they reach 12th dimension if the pyramids are working? I think probably not. And so the structure resembles something that we have in nature, which would be volcanoes.
Yeah.
The conical shape of a volcano, the magma chamber going deep into the earth. and usually these are associated with very powerful EM fields because of the presence of the iron, molten ferrous material. So then that could be emulated in a structure. The pyramids, they're not natural. That much we can agree on.
Yeah, definitely. Mhm.
So
And they're
perhaps
probably older than this. Say they're a lot older. They're quite
they're older.
ancient. Yeah, definitely.
Minimum 15,000 years, perhaps even older, many of them.
Mm.
Um, so
I'd add a note to that.
no, 150. Well, I'm at this point, honestly, I cannot disagree with these ancient numbers. Going back in the Akashic records, you would see that there's been high technology presence throughout our history. I mean, humanity goes a lot further back than mainstream wants us to
Mm.
think.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm just going to throw this out there. Um, I do not believe that they are beneficial to humanity. They would be part of a control system
Mm.
or defensive grid. Now, before this type of defensive grid would have been brought in, let's say, in the past 250,000 years, everything was fine and dandy. Humanity was living in harmony with nature. So perhaps it is some sort of a very advanced control mechanism, the principles of which we don't yet understand in the modern day.
What what I come with most of the stuff I come up with, it started to be a good thing, and then it got
Okay,
taken over. Do you
that
get what
makes
it's
sense. Yes,
it's
yes.
manipulated. Everything
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
ever come up initially had a good it had a good reason, but then the dark ones took over. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So maybe initially it was just to stabilize the plates of the planet so we wouldn't
Mm.
have so many earthquakes or volcanoes or something like that. But then it was coerced into different uses.
Mm. I do think that it's feeding a civilization below us. One of an ancient civilization. I don't know why they decided to, because you can imagine the structural work to build something that's miles and miles down.
Yeah.
We're not capable of doing that. What equipment did they have to do it? It's a mind-boggling thing. Uh,
And yet they used natural resources, stone from nearby, relatively
mm,
close, a few
mm,
100 miles only away. So it's pretty advanced. Right now, we couldn't do it.
mm.
It's out of
But
the
but
question.
the 8 spirals. If you think about it, it's 4 spirals on each side, going into two blocks, which looks like a battery, doesn't it? It looks like
Yeah,
positive and negative, doesn't it?
yeah,
So it could, and that could theoretically control our atmosphere. It might be keeping us alive, and we wouldn't even know. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah.
At this point, things have gotten so convoluted. I think it would be most prudent not to rely on any sort of leftover technology
Mm,
because it is not easy to know the initial purpose, or for that matter, if the initial purpose being something benevolent continued to be so, might have been
mm,
corrupted.
yeah.
These are assistive tools, being a source of power, if it may be, being a power plant. We have other sources of power now. Although they're not perfect, they're not clean, but still we're independent. For the
Mm,
purpose of ascension and evolution, sovereignty is the number one priority.
mm,
So
true.
this has never been different. There has never been a time that it has not been so, that we can connect to the source of all things without any assistance, without any guidance. It's built in. We're just finding our way back home.
Mm,
I would be very cautious um, becoming intertwined with ancient tech without knowing for certain that it is beneficial.
mm. The other thing I wanted to mention, the old buildings that have got geometric shapes on them, churches which I don't think they started as churches. I think it was healing centers. I won't be surprised. So somehow, what are the geometric shapes that is pulling the ether energies into the building? Is that what you think? Or have you got anything to add to that?
Um, well, they could be pulling energy from the environment and focusing it,
Yeah.
and then fine tuning it to special known frequencies. A good example of this is done in India by a wonderful, wonderful grandmaster, Sadhguru.
Mm,
Many have heard of him. So he's made a little meditation chamber under like a half sphere. And in the middle, there's this stone called the Dhyana Linga. And you see people from all walks of life coming in, just sitting, and then they start smiling, this beautiful, gentle, pleasant smile, and they go into this rocking motion and they can meditate. And
mm,
so when he explains it, it's a feat of mastery, attempted many times over, failed because of warfare, so many natural catastrophes happening. So the yogis, they don't look at temples as places of worship. You go there and you are exposed to the effects of the building.
mm,
It unlocks something or unblocks something in you. So this would be a benevolent effect. You visit a certain temple and it kickstarts this process of greater evolution.
mm,
So I think this would have been tried, they would have tried to repeat this, mirror this in newer constructions like churches and mosques and synagogues, the same environment that is conducive to spiritual growth.
mm. You remind me of in India. There's a temple in India, you'd probably know it, where it's made of granite, and nobody knows how it got built. And it's obviously frequency. It must be a frequency, and is it people that's done it, or is it a
Oh,
machine that's
yes,
done
yes,
it?
yes.
But
So
if you could do that sort of precise, that means you could build that temple or building to do exactly what you want it to do. A bit like a circuit board, if you think about it. Yeah,
I think that is spot on. They knew what they were doing.
yeah,
Before they started chiseling or lasering or whatever they were using, forming the rock in that way, they knew the outcome. So these are
mm,
all basically the execution of a plan.
yeah,
Some of the techniques we can't replicate even
mm,
now. So they were using advanced architecture and civil engineering. The result is there.
mm,
So yeah, I think in particular India, it's not given enough credit.
mm,
It was one of the let's say capitals in the Atlantean civilization, and they still have written records going back as far as 20,000, 25,000 years. Somehow these have made it through all the carnage and warfare and famine and all the natural disasters. So these guys are onto something.
mm,
The spiritual traditions of India, I really, really admire them.
mm.
Some people still hold that ancient wisdom. It wasn't vanquished. It wasn't destroyed. It's a
Yeah,
wonderful example.
yeah, some of the cities you could go to a local supermarket and the building's ancient.
Yeah,
It's high tech, and they're just using it. Yeah, so it is
yeah,
a lost civilization there that
yep,
created
yep,
all that.
yep.
Yeah,
So there was this there's this wonderful book, the Emerald Tablets of Thoth.
yeah,
Uh,
I agree. I think Hermes built made that one. I think Top
well,
got the credit.
Hermes
The Emerald Tablets is a portal. Did you know that? Yeah,
in
it's a portal.
opening to, yes, multidimensional communication. Yes, adding to that, that Hermes or Thoth or Ahura Mazda is an AI.
Mm,
It is a very advanced machine
hmm.
involved with cyclical um, extinction events and then reseeding population. So it is a destroyer and giver of wisdom all in one.
A reset device.
A reset device, yes,
Yeah.
called Hermes. So the tablets, although the Hermetic laws brought in, they're incomplete. So there's censorship going on at some level. But again, if you could imagine the laws of the universe and the laws of the holographic reality being given down to people, that would be very beneficial. People are not quite decided. Many love him, many hate him, many love him and hate him.
I've got a big connection to Hermes. Hermes was the god of magic on Atlantis, and I'm very connected to him.
Yeah.
And he told me that the Emerald Tablets was the beings that helped to create it were crystal beings that were channeled the information to create that. Whether, as you say, it's been manipulated for the control, like everything does, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah,
I think that would be accurate. Certain knowledge seems to be eternal. And so let's go to the last extinction event, the previous ice age. All the shamans and keepers of wisdom, they pretty much starved or froze. And then civilization is reseeded, humanity starts thriving again, and boom, same ancient wisdom, connection to nature, shamanic approaches of healing, wisdom, channeling, connection to source, they all come back in. So there are those involved with kind of feeding it back. And I think in that,
you're pulling me into this conspiracy thing though. Every major town, city, has got a city under the city because of probably some reset. And recent as well, not that thing. So that's what you're drawing me into, that one.
Well,
Yeah.
There have been many resets.
Mm.
It seems the duration of each is about 12 or 10,000 years, something in that zone. Something goes on. Last one was the Ice Age. One previous was the Flood. Any kind of modality of destruction you think about, humanity has faced. The number is surprising, 30,000.
I've been told, and this is me going in really deep here. So, 1728, there was a war, and it's Tartarian against the Orions, yeah, and the Orions pressed the frequency mud device. It wiped out all the dragons in the 3D physical. And they did that in 1736. That's what I've been told.
Quite recent.
That's quite recent, yeah.
So this would have probably been the last nail in the coffin.
Of the dragons.
Yes. And so it's going to be not another few centuries when these wonderful beings can start re-emerging. But it's a long and sad story of the decline as the awareness of the human population fell. So did the vibration of the planet. So it's no longer conducive to very high vibrational beings being able to take momentary physical form.
Because Earth used to have big trees, didn't they? Giant trees, a lot of oxygen, a lot of dragons. So the vibration was so. Just having these creature beings here, these consciousness of the trees and dragons would have been high anyway. So obviously, the best way is to get rid of the beings that create the high vibration.
Yeah. And so many high vibrational beings were just then stuck with the last option, which is taking a human form, because they still wish to have a presence energetically in the 3D reality.
Or go to inner Earth. I think some went there, didn't they? Some escaped.
Yeah. Oh, in the form of let's say dragons. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Existing still in a subterranean form. Okay, that is really interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if
they
I
would
should have
need
said
some.
that.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
But they would need some sort of assistance.
Mm.
Maybe they were taken in as refugees because their presence is no longer possible
Yeah.
on the surface. So perhaps they were basically given some sort of asylum
Yeah.
amongst more advanced small civilizations that still remain. They're
Mm.
peppered all around the planet.
Mm.
Some good, some not so good.
There
Wow.
is a lot of civilizations underneath us. It's amazing how
Hmm.
many. I
Yeah.
don't even know if they all know each other, to be honest.
Some are more shy.
Yeah.
Some are completely neutral. I did a remote viewing session with a very wonderful friend, Ilyana, the Star Traveler. So
Mm.
one of them, our distant cousins, they have maintained their civilization in the Antarctica.
Yeah.
And so they've split different evolutionary branches from us, distant cousins, very intelligent, physically not so strong as us, and in terms of psychic capability, we would wipe the floor with them.
Mm.
So we're much more advanced than them, which gives them a reason for fear.
I was remote viewing and I was going to the crystalline earth and I hit a subterranean beings that weren't human. And I looked at them and they looked at me and I thought, are they dark? And they were puzzled to see me. It was like, when you don't know what to do. So yeah.
I think this is going to become more frequent.
Yeah.
So us, this current version of humanity, is really popping.
Mm.
So many people are awakening. Their gifts are coming online, and so of course they're going to explore. That is our nature.
Mm.
So we would explore in the dimension of time. The construction of the pyramids. I didn't go underneath. I was just interested in the presence or absence of aliens.
Mm.
There was a presence, but not directly intervening in the construction. All human. They were just observing. They were curious. Um,
I've actually remote viewed 30 years ago. You reminded me. The pyramid, I used to have gold at the top. It
mhm,
was crystal gold. It wasn't the same gold we have now. It was like an alien gold. And then it went down and it went back. Bit like your crystal that you
mhm,
showed me.
mhm,
And
mhm.
it was a civilization under it, under the actual crystal.
And
And I did
it
that
does.
25 years ago. Yeah.
Yep, yep. You see, that makes sense. So certain properties of certain geometric shapes, these do not change. At least
Mm.
in this physical reality, they behave the same. So if you're accumulating energy at the top, that would nicely tune it down into a way that would be accessible by a subterranean civilization.
I think the old saying is what is up on top is below. What's the saying on that? I can't
As
remember.
above, so below.
That's it, yeah. So, yeah,
Yep,
definitely.
yep. And so in the Emerald tablets, they call this subterranean city the halls of Amenti.
Yeah.
So this is mentioned in the literature. Um, Again, it was promised to be revealed at the right time for
Mm.
humanity to wake up. Now imagine if they find these libraries and all this ancient wisdom, that would change everything in a very positive way.
Yeah,
So we have to
exactly.
wait and see.
I have got a message for the healers who are watching this
Yes,
that the
please.
Emerald Order is now giving us downloads for Ascension. So when you're healing, if you can connect to 18D, the non-physical, where the Emerald Order, just ask for the Emerald Order and ask for the downloads to awaken people to ascend, to help them on the ascension, if they are happy to do that. Yeah, spiritually you can connect to the soul and they can say yay or nay. And that is this year. It's not happened before this year. So, and it's only
Would
just
you
happened. Hmm?
would you also kindly guide our wonderful audience how to discern, just in case some other being
Hmm.
wishes to jump into the connection and pretend to be, the right members of the Emerald Order.
Mm.
How would they go about this?
Well, how I do it, I use the pillars of light to each dimension. Now, all our chakras are attached to source, so each level of a chakra goes to the dimension, say 4, and then you use the pillars of light to go to 5. And if you keep on doing it till you get to 18, you're not going to have any dark beings there. Just doesn't. And if you can remote view them and connect to them, they're like the mixture of gold and silver light just beaming off them. Yeah, I think the gold beings with light, but it's that bright the light, the white light. It can be quite difficult to see the gold in them, and you'll know in your heart. I think as a system, spiritually, that it's something we've forgotten, and it wakes that part of you up. Yeah. So. Yeah.
I think that is accurate.
Yeah.
You call it the pillar of light.
Yeah.
That's an accurate way of describing it. Sometimes I see it as the river of light,
Yeah.
because of the flow, but also that flow exists in the pillar.
Yeah.
So perhaps a safe way would be to go home, to source. So involvement of source, and then being guided to the correct, benevolent and elevated counsel,
Yeah.
who wishes to facilitate greater evolution and remembering and activation of dormant soul gifts. Would you agree with this?
Yes, I would. Definitely. The other thing is that chakra 528 frequency helps the DNA as well. So a lot of people have heard of the 12 DNA chakra, and we've got a lot of dormant chakras, but that could repair it. I do believe in that. I believe that before some of us got here, we had 48 DNA strands before we got here. So we had to
In non-physical form, more information, not in the physical structure.
we had to descend. Yeah.
So is 528 associated with the heart?
It is, but it's also the solar plexus.
Solar?
I think. Yeah, solar plexus. But all these are very solar plexus art. They're very, very similar. Very similar. Yeah. So
The heart is the center of consciousness.
yeah.
The love that people associate with the heart is really the byproduct of consciousness.
Yeah.
So every cell in the body, every blade of grass, every tree, every river, mountain, every galaxy has its consciousness, and so a healthy heart will see that.
Yeah.
So that probably would be one of the ways to guarantee discernment. An injured heart would.
Yeah, the art is 639 into Hertz. Yeah.
639. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that. So
Yeah.
the 548, 528.
528.
528 solar plexus.
Yeah. But I think it's better, that one. But that's my opinion.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Well, wonderful. Oh, well, we covered lots of stuff.
We covered up a lot of stuff that people don't normally talk about, I think.
Well,
I think
suppose that's
sometimes we've got to. We just got to. If you don't bring it up, you don't discuss it, do you? Yeah.
That's so true. And so it's friendly. We're not trying to prove anything or convert anybody or insult anybody. It's just a friendly discussion of two wizards, and we have the honor of having a wonderful, wonderful audience. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Your presence makes our day. It gives us a reason to continue. And so wishing all of you.
Shall we send some frequency healing to everyone who's watching?
Yes, sir.
Because people love that, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to use that bowl. I'll use my normal bowl. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what should we set as intention? Connection to source.
Downloads from the Emerald Order.
And downloads from the Emerald Order. Okay, there
Ascension
we go.
Awakening codes.
And highest
And
good,
yeah.
greatest life, all the good stuff.
So anyone who's watching, just do some big breaths into your root chakra or into your solar plexus. Why not? We're talking about solar. And then let's see what we can do. This is going to be powerful. Yeah, I didn't expect this. So. Oh, thank you, my friend.
Wonderful.
Mm.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, to be continued, looking forward to more friendly wizard conversations.
Mm.
I hope our
I haven't
wonderful
got
audience
any questions because I forgot to look. So I'll look
It's
next
okay.
time. Yeah.
If you have any questions, guys, just write in the comments for myself or Philip, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll do our best to address them, talk
Yeah.
about them to the best of our ability.
Okay.
So, thank you very much, my dear friend. Wishing you
Thank
all
you.
the very best. And next week, same time, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, take good care of yourself.
Have a good night. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wish
Bye
you
for
well.
now. Bye
Bye.
bye.